What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back, guys. Tonight is an exciting night. Finally, we're getting a chance to see the blogger photos of Anakin Skywalker from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, this guy got announced back in July of 2023, so we've been waiting almost 2 years to see what this highly anticipated Artisan Anakin will look like. And does it disappoint? Or are we happy with it? Let's take a look at the prototype versus the final today and see how we feel about it. So stick around if you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Ben Thomas.
Go time! Here we go, here we go, here we go!
Okay, everybody, welcome back. So first thing we got to discuss is the blogger photos, right? This is the most updated look we've now had at this Anakin Skywalker. And yesterday we saw that there were the shipping crates of these figures arriving. And so we were all kind of anticipating, any moment now these figures were going to come. But was it worth the wait is going to be the question of this video for you guys today. Because I've got this one on pre-order. This was one of the only Artisan figures I got lucky enough to actually beat the queue on and secure the bag, and I've been pretty excited, but I will say this figure came out at a time for me where Artisan still felt very luxurious in terms of what their concept was going to be. At the time, we were expecting, premium goods in terms of maybe leather materials and this wool implantation hair and realistic looking skin and figures and rolling eyes and all of the things, right? The top of the top, the best of the best. And some of us were a little disappointed to see that these weren't, leather accoutrements, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily a deal breaker because we were starting to see rooted hair from Hot Toys that we'd never seen before. A true competitor to InArt. And I gotta say, this is definitely still an absolute true competitor to InArt. The only other way we were able to compare those two companies when it came to rooted hair was in the Joker figure. And for the longest time, people would say, with regards to rooted hair, I'll wait for InArt. And then that Hot Toys Joker came along, and the conversation shifted, right? It started to be, I'll wait for Hot Toys. And then there started to be some glue issues and maybe hair falling out issues, and let's be honest, it's less than 1% of folks, but that still created some controversy and some nervousness and some trepidation. And I know I was feeling that, especially when this came in at $415. For the pre-order. A lot of money, well over $500 for me here in Canada. And I know for you guys, when we're starting to think about $500 figures, every figure we want, all these characters we'd love to see with rooted hair, that starts to become a tough nut to swallow. So honestly, the anticipation for this, I think, had built to the point where no matter how good it was, there would still be elements of this figure we'd want to pick apart. There's still going to be parts where we're going to feel a little disappointed by. I'm not saying set your expectations low, because these are expensive and they're premium items. But I do think it's worthy of noting when our anticipation starts to outweigh our expectation, that's when things get dangerous, especially for collectors and our perception of what these look like, because these are still artistic representations, of course. This Anakin objectively looks fantastic. He does. The rooted hair looks really good. The rooted hair is definitely darker than I was expecting, and it's definitely darker than the prototype, and we'll compare those in a minute. I think the figure itself, the tailoring looks great, the outfit looks great, but we've seen Hot Toys do Anakin Skywalker before, so that was an expectation that should be fulfilled, and I feel like it was met here. The hands on the prototype did also look kind of large, and they especially look large in these blogger photos, so I'm not sure why that illusion is coming to fruition. I think once they're in hand, I don't think it'll look that way, but I do think it's the photography. Now, lighting and angles will also play a huge impact on this, and you guys know that. You're Hot Toys collectors or InArt collectors or 1/6 scale collectors for the most part. If we're looking at any face, any human face, with hair in any different direction, we're going to look different at all angles. We're going to look different depending on our expression, the way we look, the shadows, all of it is going to change it. But objectively, this should always look like the character you're trying to seek, and I think this one definitely nails that. I think if you've got Artisan on the way, as of right now, I wouldn't be disappointed. I think this is looking pretty good. But keep in mind, with it being a rooted hairstyle, every figure is going to have some level of variance. This figure that we're seeing on the screen isn't going to look like the one that you take out of the box, and it's not going to look like your neighbors if they got one as well. There's going to be more variance than what we'd see out of sculpted. So we got to be prepared for that, and we also have to be prepared for a little bit of futzing. Now, let's look at the prototype versus the final, because this prototype was one of the best prototypes I think I'd ever actually seen, which is why I do still feel mildly disappointed with how it's turned out. I think that the hair was a better color in the prototype. The lighter photos do lend to a feel of a more natural look, whereas these blogger photos are a little bit more shrouded in shadow, and they're a little darker, but that hair definitely looks darker. It has more of like a noodly kind of combed over look as well, as opposed to the prototype that looked a lot more natural and flowing. Now, I do remember there was a time where this figure was actually teased at some kind of con. I can't remember which one it was, but whoever posed it wasn't clearly a 6-scale poser, because the hair was all poofy and it freaked everybody out, because we were like, oh my god, if that's what Artisan's gonna look like, that's horrible. Thankfully, it does not look like that, not out of the box. Now, it does give me the Joker vibe in terms of the hair, though, the way that it's slicked over. For me, I think it's a little bit too much, and especially even when we look at different photos of Anakin from the actual film. He does look different in all of these pictures, but his hair is definitely lighter and not nearly as greasy. So that aspect of it, I'm not loving. Now, they likely had to amp up the grease level just to make sure that these things survive the transport, right? Survive the journey to your collection. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it comes then down to, is this one of your favorite characters, right? Because when it's one of my favorite characters, I have actually a harder time seeing past the imperfections. I love Anakin Skywalker, and I don't have one in my collection. So for me, this Artisan is going to be the one and only Anakin that I have, and I think it looks fantastic as a result. But if it was your favorite character, I could understand an element of you feeling a little disappointed with how it's turning out here. For me, at a price point of $415 and seeing these Artisan figures coming in pretty consistently in that $500 range, it's making me feel like I need to be extremely strategic, and it's also forcing us to be strategic, because there are a lot of these that are going to end up being limited that we can't even get our hands on even if we want them, which is going to drive us nuts as well. I missed the Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, and I was pissed about that because I wanted that character in my display. I'd waited all those years not buying backwards to get that Winter Soldier when it eventually 2.0'd, and I missed it. I hope that we still see another representation of Anakin here as well at some point. Do we get a Darkside Artisan Edition version? Do we get a Darkside Limited Edition version at the very least? If they do, I hope they don't do it right away. I hope that they do wait a year or two. Let this figure come and marinate in people's collections. Let us enjoy it a little bit first. Don't even pull like the Deadpool stunt where now it's another figure with a couple of different accessories. Like, I don't think I'd love that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of that, though, below. Would you rather see a Darkside Anakin come right away that you could get your hands on? Would you like to see both in your collection? Do you have a preference? I ran a poll today in the Nutyard open mic show that I did, and it was heavily weighted. I think an 82% vote out of 40 votes for a Darkside Anakin. So if Darkside ever does get announced, what is that going to do to the value of this figure? Is this going to be now the ugly cousin, the one that nobody wants, once the other one that comes that's more anticipated potentially hits? I'm not saying that it will. Could possibly just be a theory or speculation, but I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What are your thoughts here, especially comparing the prototype to the final, as well as with the actor photo? Do you think it looks good? Do you think it's good enough? Is good enough no longer a good measuring point, though? At this price point, are we expecting that they are perfect? Should we expect less of a differential or variance from proto to final? Or, like I said about rooted hair, since rooted hair creates variance no matter what, is this about that level of tolerance that you were expecting? For me, it is definitely within the acceptable threshold. I am excited to get this in hand, and I may make this a giveaway on the Ben Thomas Show Let's Get Nuts live stream at some point once it comes in. So, let me know how you guys feel about it. If you liked the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and have a great evening. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. 'Cause subscribing makes you feel good.
Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's gone. It's all gone.